Protests are taking place near the governor's residence. The crowd is shouting slogans. The police are trying to scare her and disperse her. At this time, the guard is trying to hide the governor. There is a ringing of broken glass, and in order to save the official, he is led into the office. The crowd throws Molotov cocktails at the building, and a skirmish with the police begins. The sounds of shots are heard. The governor hides under the table in horror. Tear gas begins to spread into the office. Outside, the sounds of a struggle are clearly audible, and the governor blocks the table with chairs. The door to the office opens, and a man in a gas mask finds him. The fighters of the Special Military Unit are being equipped for the operation. They are going to the governor's house, and at this time he calmly brews coffee for himself and reads the newspaper. The article talks about hundreds of thousands of patients waiting for surgery in public hospitals, but the governor himself avoids the subject. The fighters show a warrant to the guard at the gate and calmly drive to the territory of the house. The governor watches them and drinks coffee. Even when the officers begin the search, he is not nervous, but offers coffee to the fighters. The governor remains calm even when he is brought to the police station and politely greets other employees. In the evening, one of the fighters, Miguel, watches the news broadcast. The presenter says that the governor was called to testify about his involvement in the theft of funds allocated for health care. Miguel gets angry and clenches his fists. Nearby, his daughter is sleeping on the couch. Miguel carries her to bed. She wakes up and asks to put the iPod next to her, and then asks if her father really arrested the bandit governor. The child is proud of his father. The governor is interrogated. He refuses to say anything without a lawyer. Miguel recalls that healthcare has lost more than $2 billion. Does the governor have anything to say? The governor claims that no errors were found in the reports, and any problems with medicine are due to the incompetence of his predecessor. Miguel asks how the governor sleeps at night with the knowledge that he stole money and condemned many people to death. He smiles in response and tries to leave, but Miguel turns on the audio recording of the governor's conversation, in which he orders to cancel the operation for his detention, bribe the Supreme Court, pay who needs it, and even kill those who refuse to take the money. The governor's lawyer arrives. The boss sends Miguel and his comrade to rest because they did such a great job. Miguel asks if the governor can get away with this, but the evidence is too serious. In the evening, Miguel has dinner with her daughter. Her mother comes and thanks him for looking after the child and wants to talk to him about the football match. Miguel says that he and his daughter will watch it at home, but the ex-wife agrees to let them go to the stadium. In prison, the governor eats sushi that his lawyer brought him. The governor clarifies, does the people understand that he is innocent? The lawyer nods his head. The governor promises to start a witch hunt as soon as he is released. The head of a special unit sends his fighters to help with the relocation of several dozen families from an emergency house. Since there is a high probability of a conflict, Miguel objects, says it's not their profile, but the boss interrupts. His fighters go on a mission and Miguel's friend says that he can't cope without him, because Miguel was going to football. Thanking the guy leaves. He is late for a meeting with his daughter. However, he brings her a Brazilian national team shirt. They take pictures and rush to the match. The same football fans are walking around, crackers sound, but suddenly a shot is heard and the bullet hits the child. Miguel runs with his daughter to the hospital, but there are not enough doctors. The operation is never started and the girl dies. A little later, the girl's mother comes running to the hospital. They cry together. Meanwhile, the court releases the governor despite all the evidence and charges. Some time later, Miguel's friend comes to his apartment. The man is upset. The friend says that he checked everything, did everything he could, but could not figure out who killed the child. Anyone could shoot from anywhere. Miguel is sure that it was not an accidental bullet that killed his daughter. They didn't even try to help in the hospital, and the girl died from a banal loss of blood. A friend suggests Miguel take a vacation. The guy cries and listens to music on his daughter's iPod. At a press conference, the governor declares that he has nothing to fear, because the health of the nation has always been his priority, and the fact that he is being plotted only gives the governor strength. Continue work. He assures that he will not let the people down, And even when he becomes president, resistance provokes riots. Miguel watches a news report from a press conference, stopping while jogging in front of a storefront. A stone flies into the window. The guy joins the crowd of protesters, but when he gets closer to the police cordon, the police beat him. In response, one of the protesters throws a Molotov cocktail at law enforcement officers and the police retreat. A real clash begins. The police use tear gas. Miguel coughs, but at that moment a protective mask falls next to him. Miguel puts it on and turns into that same Punisher. Thanks to his combat experience and skills, Miguel breaks through the police line and enters the governor's residence, where he finds him under the table. The governor is trying to bribe him. He thought the guy was working for his competitors, but it doesn't work. Miguel beats the man to death. Later, the same comrade Miguel is trying to identify the criminal who killed the governor, but nothing comes of it. The detained protesters are brought to the police, and one participant notices Miguel and recognizes him. Miguel also looks at the girl and understands everything. Miguel's boss announces that they will be looking for the masked man, and through him those who are interested in the death of the governor. You need to start with the interrogation of the detainees. Miguel volunteers to take care of them and says that he will start with the same girl named Nina. He interrogates her and finds out that the girl is a hacker, but she works at a comic book store, and her mom was convicted of fraud. They argue, but during the conversation she wrote on a piece of paper, "I saw you," and says that there is video evidence on her phone, and a copy is stored in the cloud, so even if Miguel deletes the video from the phone, it won't help. Members of the party to which the governor belonged are debating who they will put in place of the murdered man in the upcoming elections. They eat marbled beef and laugh and enjoy life. The head of the party, Antero Gomez, proposes to nominate his son, who has no criminal record, and threatens everyone, which will otherwise affect the security forces, and party members will go to jail. Everyone agrees to the proposal. Miguel finds Nina's phone among the confiscated, looks at the records, and lets the girl go. His comrade is surprised after all. This is not supposed to be done. Nina, meanwhile, goes to work where she searches for all available information about Miguel on the net. As the girl walks home, Miguel stops next to her and offers to talk, but Nina refuses until the guy blackmails her with information on her phone. The police are looking for Nina as a hacker. Miguel says he just wants the names of the others who were involved in the governor's criminal scheme. Nina hacks the governor's laptop, and Miguel gets the information he needs. He equips himself with a shelter in an abandoned building and destroys corrupt officials one by one. Information about this appears in the news. Part of society supports the actions of the Punisher. The police chief is outraged that they still cannot catch the lone killer, and Miguel's comrade begins to suspect that the Punisher is a policeman. He works too carefully. To eliminate the new target, Miguel is going to penetrate the skyscraper where the minister will be. While he is heading there, his friend suddenly realizes who exactly will be the next victim and sends a message to Miguel, asking him to urgently come to the place, but the guy does not notice the message. He is already making his way into the building, with Nina coordinating his actions. Meanwhile, the minister meets with Antero Gomez, who offers her a bribe to stop the persecution of politicians as part of an anti-corruption operation. However, the minister refuses the money, and at that moment Miguel's comrade arrives at the place. Nina tries to warn Miguel. At the same time, he is called by a friend, and this creates interference, and Miguel accidentally stumbles upon a friend in the corridor. A chase through the building begins, resulting in Miguel being injured. The minister is alive. Miguel calls Nina and asks the girl to sew up his wound, because he himself cannot reach. They then discuss Antero Gomez's next target, but it is very difficult to get close to him. Miguel needs rest. The police chief also cooperates with corrupt politicians and calls Antero Gomez the master. Meanwhile, of the officials, only he remains alive. The police chief realizes that the Punisher is not acting alone. He is assisted by some hacker who controls the security cameras. And although Miguel, his comrades, and the rest of the staff discover new information about the machinations of the late governor, Their superiors order them to wind down the corruption investigation operation, as ordered by the minister due to lack of evidence. They need to concentrate only on the killer in a gas mask. Everyone is outraged. During a dinner party, Antero Gomez, surrounded by his new henchmen, discusses his son's future nomination for president. The guy gets nervous and runs out of the room, and then says that he is not ready for such responsibility. Father and son are talking while Miguel holds Antero Gomez at gunpoint, but at the very last moment, the guy suddenly hugs his father and a bullet hits him. Despite the death of his son, Antero Gomez decides to turn the situation in his favor and run for president. Meanwhile, his people find out where the hacker who helped the Punisher acted from and come to the comic book store. However, Nina is not there and her colleague dies instead. After some time, the girl enters the store and runs out in horror. She is being monitored. Meanwhile, Miguel's ex-wife comes to his friend and complains that the guy just disappeared after the death of his daughter. The guy is surprised because Miguel said that he saw the girl several times. Moreover, he was with her at the time when his friend was catching the Punisher. Nina leads Antero Gomez's men directly to Miguel without noticing it. The shootout begins. Miguel kills all but one. He takes Nina hostage and offers a deal. The Punisher must kill the rival Antero Gomez during the debate and then Nina will remain alive. When Miguel's comrade arrives at the abandoned building, there is no one there. However, he finds the iPod and recognizes it as belonging to Miguel's dead daughter. The guy calls Miguel's ex-wife for interrogation and confesses to her that the Punisher is probably Miguel. During the debate, Miguel is about to fulfill his end of the deal and kill rival Antero Gomez, but he is prevented by his comrade. They fight and the comrade says that he knows who is hiding behind the mask of the Punisher. Miguel takes off his gas mask and the friends argue about what the vocation of a police officer really is and who the real enemies of society are. Comrade says that he will not allow Miguel to kill a man. A shot sounds. When the broadcast is interrupted, Nina manages to kill her captor and free herself. Miguel is detained. In the interrogation room, the ex-wife speaks to him and explains that the guy has completely lost his mind, and their dead daughter could not live knowing what her father did and who he turned into. The actions of the Punisher unexpectedly provoke a very high turnout in the elections. Antero Gomez wins, and Miguel, who has been sitting in the cell all this time, is dragged into the interrogation room. There he is beaten by former colleagues, and the police chief says that Miguel did not act so badly. He just chose the wrong side. Because corruption is an important part of the state system, the police chief leaves, telling his subordinates to finish. Then one of them kills his partner with a shot and is going to shoot Miguel, allegedly in self-defense after he killed the agent. In a short fight, Miguel gains the upper hand, frees himself and escapes, taking the weapon and the Punisher's mask. He is going to kill Antero Gomez, destroying everyone in his path. Miguel gets to Antero Gomez. The politician talks to him discreetly while loading his gun, but Miguel shoots before he can finish, and then blows up the building with himself.